Hello, welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. The second round of reunions for war-torn families wrapped up today, but this time, North Korean officials seemed unable to fully appreciate the event with stricter monitoring from the regime than the first round. As the main opposition party focuses on preventing state control over history textbooks, the ruling party highlights the urgency of passing other important bills related to the economy and people's livelihoods. President Park Geunhye is set to become the first Korean president to address the National Assembly more than once during a single term. On Tuesday, she intends to explain next year's budget plan and policy goals. After seeing each other again for the first time in 65 years, it's goodbye again. The second round of reunions for war-separated Korean families has come to a close, with participating families returning home after the three-day event. For the latest, our Unification Ministry correspondent Song Ji-sun is standing by at the Inter-Korean Dialogue HQ in Seoul. Ji-sun, so their time together is over. Must have been emotionally the most intense parting for these families.
Daniel, all 90 families from the South Korea who have just arrived at Sokcho are back safe and sound. Now, the farewell session of today was extended by an hour to 2 by North Korea's accepting South Korea's proposal earlier prior to the reunions, but the 12 hours over the 3 days could not have been enough for these families separated for decades. Now, not knowing when or if ever they will be able to see each other again, the family sent off their beloved ones with words of hope.
만날 때까지 나도 악착같이 살았으니까 너 건강하게 있다가 만나자. 다시 만납시다. 통일되는 날.
But even on this last day, many North Korean participants managed their words and actions very carefully, fully aware of the authorities around them. It makes their southern families even more sad, families who call for greater channels of exchange between the separated families.
울지 말아요. 이러세요. 행복해요. 우리는 행복해요. 울지 말아요.
우리 행정관이 언제 한번 왔다 갔다 그랬으면 좋겠습니다. 그게 바로.
Now, as these families suffer extensive emotional pain and stress after parting with long-lost relatives on the other side of the border, South Korea's Unification Ministry also offers counseling programs upon their return. Daniel?
Well, I guess we can find solace in the fact that it was held as scheduled and that they can return home safely. Now, when can we look forward to the next reunion, Ji-sun?
Well, not to mention that there are 66,000 people still on the wait list on the south side. The biggest problem is the aging of these separated families. Now, 1/3 of the 90 families who participated is over the age of 90. And the oldest participant at age 98 had to rest the whole day on Sunday, while another, a 93-year-old, hurt his head after slipping this afternoon. To let them meet their beloved ones as soon as possible, the two Koreas both vowed to expand regular exchanges and holding reunions on a regular basis. But experts say there are some steps the two countries must first resolve.
Pyongyang cooperated actively and the reunion was a successful one. But the two Koreas must hold governmental talks at an early date as soon as possible to expand regular exchanges. The key factor in doing so is how the two sides approach the matter of resuming the tour program at Mount Kumgang.
Now, since the first reunion in 2000, the reunions reduced both in size and frequency after a South Korean tourist was shot down by North Korean soldiers in 2008 at Mount Kumgang. With Seoul still limiting exchanges and aid to Pyongyang, more dialogue should come first to solve the family reunion issue. Reporting live from the Inter-Korean Dialogue headquarters, I'm Song Ji-sun.
Well, thank you for that report, Ji-sun. Moving on, China's Premier Li Keqiang arrives in Seoul this Saturday for a planned trilateral summit with Korea and Japan. However, the date for trilateral summit is not yet confirmed. This will be Li's first visit to Korea since taking office in 2013. Hwang Sung-hee reports.
The main purpose of Premier Lee Ka-chang's visit is to attend the planned trilateral Korea-Japan-China summit. The presidential office of Cheongwade said Monday that Lee will arrive in Seoul on Saturday for a 3-day stay. On the summit sidelines, Lee will hold bilateral talks with President Park on Saturday to discuss Korea-China ties along with regional and global issues. He will also meet with the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Prime Minister, and business leaders. The date for the trilateral summit has not been confirmed, but November 1st is the most likely date, with Japanese media reporting the leaders will hold their first summit in more than 3 years this Sunday at Korea's presidential office. But what about the much-anticipated bilateral meeting between President Park and their Japanese counterpart? A presidential office official says Korea has proposed to hold the meeting on Monday, November 2nd, and is waiting for Japan's answer. However, both sides still seem uncertain about the agenda for the meeting between President Park and Shinzo Abe. The Japanese daily Sankei Shimbun reported Monday that Korea is pushing for an apology from Prime Minister Abe about Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. This while Japan wants a no-strings-attached summit. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
President Park Geunhye will address the National Assembly on Tuesday to explain the government's budget plan and policy goals for next year. It will be her third address to the National Assembly since taking office in the year 2013. None of her predecessors have addressed the National Assembly more than once during their term, as it is the Prime Minister who traditionally does so. The President is expected to call on lawmakers to swiftly pass a handful of bills related to economic revitalization and labor reforms. It's unclear if President Park will raise the issue of reintroducing a state-issued secondary school history textbook. You can catch the President's speech live on Arirang TV at 10 a.m. Korea time on Tuesday, so do tune in. Showing no signs of reaching a compromise and getting back to their legislative work, rival parties continue playing ping-pong over a planned state-authored history textbook. Ji Myung-gil tells us more.
Criticizing the opposition's all-out efforts to halt the government's plan for a state-authored secondary education history textbook, the ruling Saenuri Party is urging the opposition bloc to normalize parliamentary affairs.
The golden time is running out to pass bills related to reviving the nation's stagnant economy and stabilizing people's livelihoods. The opposition should stop using the textbook as a political tool and come back to the negotiating table.
Floor leader Won Yu-cheol also accused the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy for raising allegations that the Education Ministry has formed a secret task force to deal with reintroducing the state-published textbook. However, certain that the presidential office instructed the ministry to establish a secret task force, the MPAD vows to explore the matter.
The Education Ministry says it's just a normal task force team to support the government's plan. But if we look into its duties, the team specialises in filing daily reports to the presidential office and monitors the media over history textbook issues.
The MPAD also insists on hosting an open forum with the ruling bloc and President Park Geunhye to look into the current textbooks page by page to determine if they do contain left-leaning content and distorted descriptions of history. With government approval, 8 private companies publish Korea's secondary school history textbooks. Primary schools have a single set of state-authored textbooks. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Korea's National Assembly began a month-long deliberation of next year's budget on Monday. Lawmakers from the Parliamentary Special Committee on Budget and Accounts took hearings from government officials and assessed their budget execution plan for 2016. The 2016 budget is estimated to reach roughly $340 billion. A fierce battle between rival parties centering on funds related to state-controlled history textbooks is expected until the bill is put to a vote on November 30th. North Korea and China have reportedly agreed to move forward with a long-stalled plan for a special administrative zone in the northwestern region of the communist state. For details, let's turn to our Oh Soo-young.
After 13 years of nothing much, North Korea and China have once again agreed to start co-developing Siniju, a special administrative region in North Korea. According to a government source in Seoul, the two countries have agreed to resume plans to set up a capitalistic-style economic zone, modelled after Hong Kong and Macau. The project was initially conceived in 2002 by North Korea's former leader Kim Geunhye to experiment with a market economy and to attract foreign investment. However, the plan was later abandoned when a Chinese-born businessman appointed as the region's governor was arrested in China for tax evasion. But now the plan seems to be back on track after Lo Yunshan, a senior Chinese official, attended celebrations in Pyongyang this month, marking 70 years of North Korea's ruling Workers' Party. According to the plans, a canal will be built across the Siniju region, creating northern and southern districts with residential areas and public infrastructure on each side. 10 bridges will arch over the canal, which will be used for shipping goods and industrial water management. 6 mobile communication base stations will also be installed by the two partner countries. Total investment in Siniju is expected to reach $400 billion. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
A North Korean boat crossed into South Korean waters, forcing the South's naval patrol to fire warning shots. Kim Hyun-bin looks into whether the communist state was warding off illegal Chinese fishing boats or testing the South's defense capabilities.
As the second round of reunions between separated Korean families were underway in North Korea, South Korea fired machine gun warning shots at a North Korean patrol boat that crossed into the southern part of the northern limit line. The Defense Ministry said on Monday such situations happen often, and added that it is not the first time the North has crossed the border this year.
This is not the first time North Korea has crossed the NLL this year. We will analyze the act. But the boat looked to be North Korea cracking down on illegal Chinese fishing boats.
The South Korean Navy fired 5 warning shots on Saturday after a North Korean patrol boat crossed hundreds of meters into South Korean territory from the de facto western maritime border. Some experts say North Korea was trying to test South Korea's defense readiness.
A separated family reunion was taking place, but also this is the fishing season for the two Koreas and even the Chinese. North Korea seems to be trying to prevent illegal Chinese fishing, but it looks to be the North was trying to test South Korea defense conditions as well.
The incident happened near Yeonpyeong Island in the West Sea, the island which the North hit with a deadly artillery strike in 2010. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Let's turn over to some tech news now. Korea's 2 ultra-high-definition or UHD TV makers, Samsung and LG Display, are continuing to dominate the global market while reaching a new record in shipments. Shin Se-min tells us more.
Korea's 2 leading panel makers are stepping up their competition, aiming to further expand their dominance in the global UHD panel market. A report from IHS Technology, a global industry tracker, shows that Samsung Display took the lead in the Ultra HD panels market in the 3rd quarter, shipping out over 3.6 million units, outpacing its rival LG Display that nabbed a little over 31% of the entire market. Combine the two, global shipments of UHD TV panels topped over 11.5 million units in the July to September period, posting above the 10 million mark for the first time. The figures are an advancement of nearly 80% on year and are also up 25% compared to the previous quarter. A Taiwan-based panel maker took 3rd place, and China's Bow Technology placed 4th on the list with nearly 14% of the market share. Watchers say more affordable models have helped expand the UHD TV panel market, leading to record shipments. And it's likely that the Korean manufacturers will retain the lead as top sellers for some time.
Even with Chinese manufacturers chasing after Korea's leading brands like Samsung and LG, without their own technical skills, it's going to be tough to pump out a massive number of UHD panels.
In the 3rd quarter, LG Display, the largest display panel maker in the world, posted rather disappointing results, with operating profit falling 30% on year, largely because of a fall in panel prices. But despite a small bump in that quarter, the OLED UHD TV market is still dominated by LG Electronics and LG Display, as China and Japan, some of the world's largest TV markets, are poised for more growth. Market watchers are optimistic that Korean makers' market domination will expand even more, as those firms currently excel in skills needed for mass production. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
More than 900 world-leading experts are gathered in Abu Dhabi for the biggest brainstorming event in the world. Geunhye takes us to the summit on the global agenda, a prelude to Davos 2016.
Abu Dhabi. Signified in an array of stunning skyscrapers and endless sandy beaches, it's almost impossible to imagine that this was once nothing but wind-blown desert sand dunes. In just 30 years' time, the country has undergone a profound transformation at a pace almost unmatched by that of anywhere else in the world.
And here in a city with a unique mix of Arabian charm and cosmopolitan sophistication is where the world's largest brainstorming event is taking place. When we think of the World Economic Forum, it's usually the snow-capped mountains or the resort town of Davos that come to mind. But the agenda for Davos are set here at the Summit on the Global Agenda, held roughly 3 months prior to the winter meeting. Now we're talking about nearly 1,000 experts, intellectuals, business leaders, public figures, and heads of state engaged in 3 full days of interactive workshops addressing the world's most pressing issues today.
Pressing issues ranging from economic growth and social inclusion to the future of the internet and gender parity.
And the purpose of this meeting is to bring together the finest minds in the world and get them together to come up with ideas and solutions and pathways forward. And these will get discussed in Davos at our annual meeting in January. And the whole idea there is all the leaders will then take them forward and they'll become projects and initiatives that actually hopefully make a big difference.
Taken individually, these challenges illustrate the magnitude of the task the world faces. Looked at collectively, they demonstrate the complexity. Finding solutions that not only address these challenges, but do not exacerbate others will require creativity and a fresh look at the way we approach problem solving.
And just how do we do that? By joining in on the debate. Geunhye, Arirang News, Abu Dhabi.
That's all from us for now. Thank you for watching.